Hello and welcome back, everybody. This is Not a Pro Gardener here, and today we are going to be transplanting in the in-ground garden. We've already made a furrow, laid drip tape, and put pre-plant fertilizer in the furrow. We have hilled it up for the sake of time for the video. We are going to be transplanting our transplants that we seed started indoors, would be the cauliflower, graffiti, cheddar, and the twister. We also have some jade cross Brussels sprouts and some cabbage, but that'll be going in a raised bed, and we will show you that video whenever we get that done. One thing about these cold season crops that people just overlook or just don't think about as much is that they are very heavy feeders, and they also sometimes lack the micronutrients that they need, which cabbage favors boron, and, and cauliflower likes boron, molybdenum, and magnesium. But that's just a little bit of information that they are heavy feeders, and usually from the success we had last year with the twister cauliflower, I don't have any pictures of that, but I had very good success with them, mainly because I spoon fed them fertilizer. Instead of doing it every 2 or 3 weeks apart, I usually fed them every 2 weeks, but spoon fed them through my drip system. And this year I'm going to do the same thing. I already have the pre-plant fertilizer down. Then whenever it dries up a little bit, because we just had a pretty big rain the other day, so once it dries up, I'll shoot another boost through them of the micro boost, some 777 by Nature Safe, and we are going to probably add some of that Agro Thrive in there as well and shoot them a pre-plant liquid fertilizer as well, try to give them a jump start. But so far, you probably will never catch me doing this, but today we actually have to do it, and I'm looking forward to transplanting all these, which brings me joy is to see all these plants put in their nice rows. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is the mud, but I have to get these in. I have no other choice. Easter's coming up, and we will get all these transplanted, hopefully. We won't be doing the cabbage in this video, but hopefully I get some time to get the raised bed ready for the cabbage. We got kale going in there, two different kinds of kale, the frilly leaf and the dinosaur lacinato kale looking stuff. And then I'm also going to hopefully get some spinach, squeeze some spinach in there. And we got a bunch of lettuce romaine heads going in there. And we got a lot of leafy greens going in this bed and some collards as well. So hopefully we have enough room for all this stuff. We'll be packing it in pretty tight, and I'll show you what that looks like. Stay tuned for more raised bed gardening videos. And like always, the reason we like to transplant these is because we get a jump start on production, and seed starting these they would not make it out here. I don't have the right conditions for them to make it. Something would happen. Dogs would step on them, kids, or the rabbits and wildlife would pick them off one by one. But usually if I put them in as the bigger plants, they do way better, and I get a jump start on production. The sad thing is I already had these transplants ready 4 weeks ago, and I tumbled and took the whole tray out, so I had to start them over. So about 3 weeks later, they're a little bit under the size I'd like to put them in, but we're going to go ahead and get them in because we ain't got no more time. Because with the Brussels sprouts, you need that cold period and lots of fertilizer. They are heavy feeders. And with me getting these Jade Cross Brussels sprouts in late, I might not make any Brussels sprouts. It kind of tightens up them heads and gives them a good chilling period, which is key to a lot of these cold season crops. So I'm hoping I can really pull this one off. I'm going to be shooting the juice to them, try to get them to grow as fast as they can to try to get these bigger, try to make up for that time that I lost. So if you got any growing tips, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. So we're gonna go ahead, take them over here and trudge through the mud and try to get these transplanted, and I'll show you what that looks like and talk about the varieties that I've picked as I'm doing it. Alright, let's head that way. Okay, we're looking to do these Brussels sprouts first, so we're going to get all these out. And as expected, these Jade Cross Brussels sprouts are doing very well. You see those prop-tect lines where the roots are growing down the side of the tray so they don't go wrapping around, and they grow straight down that plastic line in the tray so you don't have no root wrap. And see how all them roots are just at the bottom? It's a pretty decent transplant plug. We're gonna go ahead and get these in the ground. Okay, everybody, nice little tip. If you got kids and you want them to help you out, you can give them a 12-inch stick. I'm going to be planting these 12 inches apart. That's going to be my spacer. Usually I use my drip tape and turn it on, but in this case it's kind of muddy, so can't really do that. But I'm going to plant these right on top of the drip tape. Right there by that emitter. These are on raised rows to help out with drainage, because I got heavy clay soils, but we're going to do this 12 inches apart all the way down. Pop that little plug in there, give them a little press, don't smash them. Now, I'm putting these about a foot apart because I usually do them 2 foot. I'm expecting half of these to make it. And if they all make it, I'll just be sure to shoot them tons more juice to the root system with this drip tape. I'll be able to supply them with plenty of water, whatever else they might need. Okay, everybody, these are the twister cauliflower transplants we seed started. They don't look too bad. See the lines growing down, no root wrapping. They're a little bit moist. They could have stayed in those trays another week or two, but I had to get them in the ground, so this is what they're looking like now, which is not bad. They won't have much transplant shock, so let's go ahead and get them tucked in real quick. Put these a foot apart as well. Right on top of that emitter. Just going to kind of close it in around it a little bit. Don't press it too hard. Now a foot apart. This row is going to be a little bit of a mixed row. Since I dropped my last 162 cell tray full of transplants, I don't have enough of these graffiti cauliflower transplants. The plugs look pretty good. They're still a little bit young, so they're going to be tender just like the rest of these, but we only have 13 of these left. And then, so we're going to fill the rest of this row up with the cheddar cauliflower transplants, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to go ahead and get these in the ground to fill out the rest of the row. Okay, found the emitter. First one we are going to start with is the graffiti. Get our trusty little spacer stick. I'll go ahead and get these dropped in. I've never grown any cauliflower other than white before, so the graffiti is going to be a nice change of pace. I'm sure the kids are going to like it. We'll find out how they taste. Maybe bring you along with a little cooking video one day, so stay tuned for those. Okay, everybody, this last row of cauliflower, and yes, there has still not been enough cauliflower transplanted. 3 rows is just enough. So These are our cheddar cauliflower, like a yellow head cauliflower plant. This is what our transplants look like. We seed started all these ourselves. They don't look too bad. So you don't want to drop them like that. They're a little tender at this stage. But we're going to go ahead and get these in this row, and then after that we'll talk about what we did. Just kind of want to squish the ground around it. Just kind of want to squish the ground around it to close the dirt in. You don't want to press right on it. Okay, everybody, we got our Brussels sprouts in and 3 rows of cauliflower. They're a little yellow and they're a little small, but I think that's because of all the rain we've been getting. They've been getting a little too much water, and putting them in the ground is the best thing for them. Now all I got to do is put a little pre-plant liquid fertilizer around the plants, and that will help them take off running when they hit the ground. So I'm going to do that later. Another thing I want to talk to you about is the spacing that we use here on this homestead. Our spacing is way close together for a lot of this stuff. So we got a foot spacing here for these cauliflower. Last year I did this and I did just fine, but I really had to pump the food. They were heavy feeders, so you got to pump the feed and the water to them whenever they need it. Like right now, it's still a little too wet. As you can see, my boot prints as you look down the row. I have been trudging in the garden here getting these planted, but the garden needs what the garden needs. I had to get it done today, otherwise it would have been a couple weeks later. But the spacing for cauliflower is normally around 18 to 24 inches apart. I planted them close together because I expect half of them to make it. The Brussels sprouts, 2 foot apart roughly, is what they need to be as well. But I'm going to be able to feed them what they need per this drip tape system that I have in. That's the only reason I can pull off this tight spacing. And like I've said before, guys, this is the production plot. We are going to try to get as much food as we can out of this stuff. And as you can see, there is a lot of plants in this 1,000 square foot plot. That orange snow fencing is just to keep the dogs from bull rushing the garden and taking out some plants. Once they get bigger, I'll take it down and the plants won't be such a big deal if they run into them. But if you got Jack Russells, they tend to be heavy on the energy side, so I usually keep this up. Just to keep them from bull rushing through. Anyway, I've got cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, rutabagas, then I got another row of Brussels sprouts, and then 2 rows of broccoli back there, onions and spinach and carrots on the end down there. And in the raised beds, that's for another video. We'll talk to you about that. But what we got left here is tomatoes and eggplants, and then a bunch of peppers. A bunch of peppers here, which will be fun. I cannot wait to get those in the ground. I am so ecstatic for this garden season, as I hope you guys are as well. As always, grow as much food as you can and put it up, because you never know when you're going to need it. And the food out of the garden is 10 times better than what you can get at the store. So if you can pull it off, I say try it. You don't have to go as big as I do and do 30-foot rows of everything. But I usually try to put out as much food as I can so we can store it and freeze as much as we can so we can have it for us and our family to enjoy, so we don't have to rely on the stores, which is a huge thing for us. I've ramped up production this year on a lot of this stuff, and the only reason I can pull it off is because of the drip tape. I don't have as much space to garden around here. This 1,000 square foot plot's pushing it. but I'm cramming as much food as I can so we can stock the freezer, which is a good thing. If anybody out there watching has any growing tips on growing cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, I'd love to hear it. So far, we've had pretty good luck with spoon feeding them and just weeding them heavily and keeping all the weeds down, and we've had very good success last year with our Brussels sprouts and our broccoli and our cauliflower. The only difference is the Brussels sprouts didn't get those tightly wrapped heads, and one of the reasons that we faltered on that was because we didn't crop the leaves on the side. We made like 3-foot stalks, but we made way more leaves than Brussels sprouts, and we did not know that. We have learned from our mistake, and hopefully this year I can churn out some Brussels sprouts so we can freeze them. I'm hoping to put up as much food as I can, hence the name, the production plot. Just stick with us, and hopefully you enjoy these videos. This is Not a Pro Gardener here. We just transplanted all of our cold season crops except for the cabbage, and that will be a separate video for raised beds. This is Not a Pro Gardener here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time out here in the garden. Have a great day.